Rev it up and welcome to Cars Yeah, show number 2071. Buckle up because today we're going racing.
This is Cars Yeah, where you'll enjoy interviews with inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Mark Green is here to provide you with a fuel injection of automotive inspiration. So get in, sit down, buckle up, and get ready for a wild ride here on Cars Yeah.
Hello, inspiring automotive enthusiasts, and welcome to Cars Yeah. Today I'm back across the pond in London, England, with a very special guest by the name of Jamie Chadwick. Jamie, welcome to Cars Yeah. Do you have it in gear, and are you ready to release the clutch?
I think so. I'm excited to be on. So, looking forward to it.
Very cool. Well, something you've done a lot of in your past. Before I give you a proper introduction and we talk about what you're doing right now, what's one little thing that maybe people don't know about you, Jamie?
Oh, God. Wow. Probably quite a few people know this, but I am a massive racing fan. Beyond anything else, I'm a big fan. I don't know if many people do or don't know that about me, but yeah.
Kind of makes sense with what you do, but is there a certain series of racing other than the W series we're going to be talking about today that you're really fond of?
Just everything. Honestly, I try and follow as much motorsport as I can. Yeah, it's just something that, not since I started, but in the last few years especially, I've just really grown into being, a bit obsessed with.
Very cool. Well, let me give you a proper introduction and we're going to dive into your world here. Jamie Chadwick was the 2021 champion in the W Series, a racing series that provides equal opportunities for women, eliminating the financial barriers that they have historically prevented them from progressing into the upper echelons of motorsports and all genders, actually. It's very expensive to go racing. Jamie started racing karts at the young age of 11 and earned numerous wins at club levels in the junior series. She was the youngest and first female driver to win a British GT championship and won the BRDC British Formula 3 race and the MR Challenge championship as well. She was crowned the W Series champion in 2019 and was named as a development driver for the Williams F1 team. Very cool. She drove for the Italian team Prima in 2020, competing in the Formula Regional European Championship, and completed a 100-mile cycling challenge for cancer charity. That's cool too. This year she drives for Jenner Racing in the W Series with past Cars Yeah guest Chloe Chambers. We'll be back in just a moment. But first, a word from our valued sponsor, so give them a little love, and we'll be right back. My friends at Covercraft offer you 10 different options. That's right, 10 for your vehicle's protection. You can choose from Weather Shield HP, HD, Sunbrella, Ultratect, Reflect, Form Fit, Custom View Shield, and their newest 5-layer all-climate cover, 3-layer moderate climate cover, and a 5-layer indoor option. You have all sorts of ways to protect your car. All of these are custom tailored by Covercraft's talented craftspeople. It's the form and fit with the quality to attention to detail that's been their standard since 1965. Surface protection is the best way to preserve the investment you've made in your vehicles. It's what I do. Covercraft protects cars, trucks, motorcycles, RVs, trailers, and watercraft too. I have a Covercraft cover for every one of my vehicles, and I've got a deal for you. If you use the code YEAH21, YEAH21 at covercraft.com, they'll give you 10% off your order, plus you get free shipping. That's right, 10% off and free shipping. Just use the code YEAH21 at checkout. Covercraft, protecting the things that move you. Last year, I changed my collector car coverage to American Collectors Insurance. That's who now protects my Porsche Turbo, the one I call my Orange Crush. But did you know they also insure your valuable collections of automobilia and other collectibles? If you're like me, you've invested in a lot of cool collectibles over the years. Those items are valuable. And if you were to lose them in a theft or a fire, well, try to get your normal homeowner's insurance to pay you what they're worth. Good luck with that. American Collectors Insurance provides you with assurance and confidence that your collectibles are fully covered. They insure a lot of items, including automobilia, wine, baseball cards, books, figurines, die-cast models, model trains, glassware, sports memorabilia, toys, and a whole lot more. American Collectors Insurance, they've been protecting us enthusiasts since 1976. They provide you with an agreed value insurance policy backed by a long history of taking care of their clients. Give them a call today for your personal agreed value quote at 866-ACI-YEAH. That's 866 224-9324. Tell them you're a friend of mine, Mark Rains here at Cars Yeah, American Collectors Insurance. Classic car insurance designed by collectors for collectors. Automotive enthusiasts just like you and me. That's American Collectors Insurance. So Jamie, we're back. So we're going to dive a little deeper into the corner. I want to first go back, though. What got you involved in racing? Was it somebody in your family, or did you just go to a karting track and said, hey, Dad, Mom, I want to do that?
A little bit of both. My older brother started in go-karts, and that's kind of how, I first heard about racing. I didn't really follow it much before that, but it was kind of whatever my brother did, I did as well when we were growing up. So just, in our childhood, no matter what we were doing, I would sort of copy what he was doing. And as a result, we became very competitive from a young age. So, I kind of followed him into it. He started, he was the one that drove my parents to the go-kart track for the first time. I think he was sort of 12 or 13. And then a year or two later, I thought I would give it a go. And it just went from there, really. Started really just as a hobby, something I enjoyed doing. It's a bit of fun, to then kind of getting a little bit more serious and more competitive. And then it kind of grew into this thing of, being something I wanted to be my full-time career.
Well, it's very cool. I want to move forward into the W Series because I've had about 4 or 5 racers now from the W Series, and I love what they're doing there for you young women to get involved and breaking that financial barrier, because one of the things that all the racers, I've had hundreds on the show, talk about is the cost, and how do you get sponsorships and how you do all this. How did you get involved with the W Series? How did you evolve into their series? And then we'll talk a little bit about some of these championships you've won.
Yeah, so obviously I was involved with the series in its first year. So, obviously growing up in the sport, I'd always race against men, wanted to progress in the sport to the highest level I could, strongly believe that I'm capable of being equal with the boys in mixed competition. And so actually when I first heard of W Series, I wasn't a massive fan of the concept, because I thought, why do we need a separate championship for women when, I'm racing against men? But at the same time, I didn't have the funding to progress in mixed competition or much further in the sport and what I was hoping to do, particularly on the single seater side of things. So when W Series came about, it was this sort of amazing, fully funded opportunity that's professionalized women's motorsport overnight, gave us this chance to be racing on an amazing platform. At the time, it was in DTM, or on the DTM German touring car package. And actually, I love racing, and it's an opportunity to be racing that I don't think I otherwise would have had. So it was a bit of a no-brainer. And then from there, it kind of evolved into the selection process and making sure that I can get selected for this first season. I think there was sort of 100 odd applicants that got narrowed down to the 20 drivers that end up racing in the first season. And that's kind of where it all started.
Oh, it's very cool. How do you like this type of car? Because I know you've gotten behind the wheel of a lot of different kinds of cars. You seem to like to do a lot of different things. And one of the things I read on your resume, you teamed up with David Coulthard, the ROC Snow and Ice World Finals. That must have been something cool. How do you like this vehicle that you're driving? I mean, this is a cool car.
It is a cool car. I mean, it's based on sort of what we call the Formula 3 regional kind of series. So it's just a step below Formula 3. And I think for anyone that's not had the chance to watch these single seaters on track, obviously Formula 1 is the pinnacle, but all of them, it's amazing what these cars and machinery can do. So to be going to, in my opinion, some of the best tracks in the world racing these cars, it's pretty special.
How cool is it to be support for the F1 group? Do you get to have I know with COVID that restricted a lot of things, but do you get to have very much interaction with the F1 drivers and talk with them and maybe get some words of advice? And that's going to lead me up to the next question of where your bucket list is going, but we're going to save that one for a little bit later. But do you get to talk with these folks and learn a little bit more about their world?
A little bit. I mean, I obviously I'm involved with the Williams team, and so I have a great relationship with them. And unfortunately, last year with the COVID sort of bubbles and protocols, it meant we couldn't really interact so much with anyone, let alone the F1 paddock. So that was a bit tougher, but still to be a part of, this F1 circus was incredible. And like I said, some of the circuits we're going to and the way that the events are held, I remember so clearly Austin last year was by far one of the greatest experiences of my life, having over 400,000 spectators coming to watch, and watching W Series as well, supporting, every race that was on that weekend. It's pretty spectacular. So, this year I hope to have more interaction, with the Formula One, what Formula One guys, particularly, like I said, with Williams, and learn as much as I can from them because, like you said, that's the pinnacle.
Is that where you see yourself in the future? Do you have any aspirations for IndyCar racing as well?
Yeah, I mean, the ultimate aim is still Formula One. There's still quite a long way to go to get there, but yeah, that's still the ultimate goal. And yeah, of course, I want to be a professional driver in, whatever capacity as well. So yeah, IndyCar, racing in the States, yeah, sports cars, even off-road stuff. It's my ambition to just be racing as often and yeah, in as many different things as I can. So definitely I'd love to experience racing over in the States as well.
When I look through your Instagram account, and I'll put a link to that on Jamie's show notes page, I see you hanging around a lot of different kind of cars. You mentioned off-road. I mentioned the deal with the ROC Snow and Ice World Finals. Tell us about some of the different types of cars that you've been able to drive.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I'm fortunate to, well, it's something I want to do as well. I think a lot of drivers specialize very much in one type of car, and I think it's so valuable to have experience to drive different cars and have the skill set of different things. And yeah, my career has definitely not been sort of the obvious path. I started in Ginetta Juniors, which is a junior car racing series over in the UK.
Ginetta?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Those are great.
Yeah, they're great fun. And between the ages of 14 and 16, I won a scholarship for the first year. And yeah, some of the most fun I had racing in those cars. So that was kind of my first experience of cars, age 14. And then I progressed into sports cars. So I started racing with Aston Martin in a GT4 car for a couple of years in the British Championship. I also did the Nürburgring 24 hours with them, aligned with that. And then I went into single-seaters sort of a bit later and went into British F3 and then obviously now W Series. And last year I was fortunate enough as well to be able to race in a new series called Extreme E, which is off-road, big electric SUVs that go to these remote locations and do these sprint races. So it has been a varied career so far, but like I said, I'm really happy about that and something that I want to continue as much as I can.
So it sounds like a mantra I use: if it rolls on rubber, I like it. That seems to be the same for you. You jumped in a lot of different things. Do you think that all the different experiences help you with the W Series in some way? Because that's such a different car, but still you get a lot of different experience in a lot of different surfaces and because a lot of this is mental, right? Your emotional and mental surroundings of these different kinds of races. Does that translate to the W Series?
Definitely, because the car's never the same twice. And whilst in the W Series and in circuit racing, things are probably as consistent as they can be, still things change. You have track conditions. It might be wet. It might rain one day and it might be slightly different. Or after the F1 are out, the track might feel a bit different or the car might be different. And so you need to be able to adapt as quick as possible. And by having, in my opinion, the skill set of being able to jump in any different kind of car, front wheel drive, rear wheel drive, on track, off track, it gives me this ability to be able to adapt, I think, quicker than most people because I've had the opportunity to drive so many different things. So I think that's something that I really want to keep doing. And also just the feeling of being uncomfortable. The amount of times I've got, especially in the off-road stuff, got in a car and I thought this is so out of my comfort zone, that then sometimes you put things into perspective in uncomfortable environments and you're used to being in that kind of situation.
I've heard this from a lot of my guests. Always put yourself in the uncomfortable zone because that's where good things start to happen. It doesn't seem like it at the time, but looking back, you're right. You go, oh, I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I tried that. It was a great experience for sure. So has there been anything with racing with the W Series that you've learned or experienced that surprised you? Quite
a lot, to be honest. I mean, I think it's a very different series in the way that it's structured. It's all centrally run, so all the cars are effectively equal. In previous years, we swapped cars, we swapped engineers, and just the development in yourself as a person to have to cope with these changes constantly and swapping engineers, turning up to a new weekend with a new engineer and having to communicate with them and develop that relationship has taught me a huge, huge amount. And that also said, everything is also shared. So all the data between all the cars, all the teams, all the drivers is shared. So instead of it being, a closed book and you think you've got your little advantage, everything's open. So understanding that process and being able to learn as much from other people as well as kind of push yourself as much as possible has been key.
Has it been enjoyable being part of Jenner racing? Because as Chloe said, Caitlyn Jenner getting involved in racing, I know way back, she's been involved in lots of car stuff and racing on the way back and athletics and all that kind of thing. How's that relationship worked?
Yeah, really cool. I mean, yeah, obviously, like I said, W Series is still centrally run. So that does help in the sense that, someone like Caitlin with huge amounts of experience in sport in general, but also been in motorsport, can come in and, the structure is still the same within the team. So she hasn't got to come in and start completely making changes and developing a race team from nothing. So that's helpful for her. And I think from our side to have a mentor and a team principal, I guess, like Caitlin Jenner, who's as inspiring as she is and achieved what she's achieved in her lifetime, I think is something that is nice to be able to look up to and have that support mechanism in the team.
Yeah, a lot of learning, I would guess, about the mental game of athletics and sports and racing, because so much of it is up in your head, right?
Exactly. I mean, and also the pressure that, she's experienced.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Well, at the Olympic Games, for example, is probably even greater than anything that most of us will ever experience in our lifetime. So, yeah, she understands the mental side of it. She understands the sporting side of it, which is the biggest part. I think everything else, the commercial, the business side of it should follow. But the fact she understands that, integral part of, the sport is key.
Yeah, very cool. So I'd like to ask my guests about what I call a driving inspiration. Somebody in your life that's been a key mentor, influential person, someone that's really kind of helped you get over some of the barriers that you inevitably come up against when you're driving a race car. Was there somebody like that in your life?
Definitely. I think there's two. I would say the first one is my brother, because he's the one that got me into it in the first place. He was the one that, pushed me as hard as he did, being the older brother that was trying to beat his little sister when we were younger. And yeah, he was hard on me, but I think he was a big part of why I was able to succeed initially in the sport. And the other one is my manager, a guy called Rupert, but he's actually, a very, very good friend of mine. And we've worked together for sort of the past, I think, nearly 5 or 6 years. And he was a big part of why I even went into W Series in the first place. He actually runs the Veloce team as well, which is the team I raced for last year. So I'm fortunate enough to have not just those two, but a whole host of people in my kind of close support network that are definitely people that have helped me along the way.
Awesome. How would you advise another young woman who wants to follow in your path and get involved in racing? I assume you meet a lot of young girls that come up to you with signing times and things like that and go, I want to be a race car driver just like you. Are there a couple key things that you advise them to do in their life to get to the level that you're at?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I can give the best advice, but what I would definitely say to anyone aspiring to get into the sport, definitely female to get into the sport now, is the opportunities are so great at the moment. When I started out, I started to see this movement of these opportunities coming about, and I've had opportunities like the start of W Series and the inception of that. But now, honestly, I look back at the young girls coming through and there's so many fantastic opportunities. And I think if you focus on performance and do the best job you can, then these doors will open if you're successful, because the sport is really having this amazing push towards women in the sport.
I've seen this happen to women in the automotive sector as well. I've had hundreds of women on the show, and I've been doing this for almost 8 years now. And I really started to see a change that you said maybe 2-3 years ago. More women being inclusive, being invited into the automotive sector, not just racing, but the professional sector as well. And it's really bringing about a lot of nice changes, and also in clubs, because before, car clubs, and I've been a member of many, are kind of good old boys groups. And a lot of guys, let's say in my generation, I'm not going to call myself old, although some days I feel a little bit old, they would not be very welcoming. It's like, well, girls don't like cars, women don't like cars. This is, our group. And now a lot of people, and I've got some friends doing this, particularly, let's say in the Porsche club, BMW club, that are really changing things up. And all of a sudden you're seeing some fresh new ideas, fresh new faces. I've seen it locally here with a group called Avance. They have women's groups. They get together and they do training sessions for car care and service on your vehicles and driving events and tours. So it's a nice, refreshing change. So it's good to see, especially in the series you're in.
Massively. And I've noticed a shift as well. And it's natural. I think if you see an environment that, even if the men in that environment are accepting of women and want them to get involved, if you look at it and you just see your colleagues, if you're an engineer, for example, and everyone that you work with every day, there's not a single other female in that environment, it's tough and it will put you off naturally. So I think the fact that we are getting more women involved in the sport as a whole, across the board, and not just the sport, the whole automotive sector, I think is going to have a very positive domino effect going forwards.
Absolutely. My listeners know this. My wife, we've been married almost 40 years, and she's an engineer. And in her early career, she was the only woman in the office working as an engineer. And it was really challenging. I mean, the way she was treated. But her boss gave her great advice and said, you need to dazzle them with your brilliance, because she's a very smart woman, way smarter than me, that's for sure. And so that's what she did. And you earn respect that way. And eventually the men started realizing, okay, we have somebody here that in some cases she was way smarter than most of the men she was working around too. So I think they had to get on their toes a little sharper after that.
Amazing. But that's the problem. She shouldn't have had to have necessarily earned a respect. I think she should have immediately had, that kind of...
This was back in the 80s. So very different time. Yeah. Very different time. And I think when she got her California license to practice engineering, I think she was one of the only women who went in to take this big 3-day test they did. Plus she was 8.5 months pregnant with our first child at the same time. Wow. So amazing. That added some interesting things. We're going to take a short break. We come back. I want to talk about a big challenge you faced and how you dealt with that. So keep that in mind. Keep the seatbelts cinched tight. We're going to take some more laps today with Jamie Chadwick with the W Series. We'll be right back. I've teamed up with AutoGeek because, they've been the leading source of auto detailing products, accessories for more than 20 years. Their Pinnacle Sovereign Paste Wax is specially formulated from Brazilian carnauba wax. It's easy to apply on any paint surface and provides that warm glow that we love, especially me on my vehicles. You're going to love it too. A favorite of car shows countrywide, Pinnacle Sovereign Paste Wax from AutoGeek wipes on easily, requires no drying time, is easy to remove, and provides up to 90 days of protection against damaging environmental contaminants. This wax is designed to exceed the standards of the most discriminating enthusiasts and collectors. Go to autogeek.net to get yours for the best product selection on the internet today, along with their very skilled technical support. Autogeek.net. That's where I go for all my detailing needs. That's autogeek.net. Linkage. It's a new quarterly publication and website that covers the automotive market, driving, restoring, collecting, and discovering your passion for motor vehicles. Linkage is about experiences, opinions, and values. Linkage is an actual informed, reasoned opinion based on first-hand experiences. A talented linkage team covers the automotive world, the people who share your passion and mine, smart, considered, rational, and experienced opinions. Ones you can learn from and grow. That includes our passion that drives auctions and the collector car market. So come with me and join us on this journey. And be sure to use the code CARSYEAH when you subscribe, and they'll give you $10 off. Boom! Linkage, geared for the automotive life. Subscribe today at linkagemag.com. Did you know that less than 3% of all automotive technicians in the United States are women? You may not be surprised, but you should be concerned because our country is facing a massive technician shortage right now. Skilled, qualified techs are in high demand, and we need young women and men to consider these careers as a viable path to a fulfilling life. I've interviewed hundreds of women in the automotive sector here on Cars Yeah, and I know that women make great techs. That's why I support the nonprofit TechForce Foundation and its Women Techs Rock initiative to ensure women see themselves in the profession, the industry, and the workforce. Learn more at techforce.org today. So let's talk about this. I ask all my guests to drum up something that was really challenging, and it wasn't to bring the pain back. This is more about looking back. What did it teach you that was so incredibly valuable? Racing, oh my gosh, you've chosen something, Jamie, that is ups and downs. Your whole career is going to be like this. That's just the way it is. But take us on a bit of a bumpy ride, perhaps.
I was going to say there's so many variables in racing. It's never plain sailing. So it's just all moments, or many, many moments I can think of that are the sort of struggle days that, they're a bit painful. But I think the biggest setback or difficulty I'd faced career-wise or professionally was 2020. So the year that COVID hit, I still actually ended up racing. I raced for arguably the best team in the world in junior series called Prema, and I was racing in a regional championship, Formula Regional Championship, and I had a big sponsor from New Zealand that was supporting my journey, who amazingly backed me and really helped me in that phase of my career. A guy called David Dicker rode in cars. And yeah, I, on the face of it, had everything set for the perfect year. I knew if I had success in that championship, I would secure funding and the seat that I needed in the next step. And it was all kind of a plain sailing journey, my route to Formula One set if I could just get the results, which in the back of my mind was going to be quite simple because I'd had success in every other championship that I'd raced in. I was now with the top team. I'd never been with the top team before, and it was good to go. And the year was terrible. I struggled so much, and there's a few factors that, added up to that. One of them is definitely the physical aspect of motorsport. I wasn't strong enough for that car at the time and lacked performance as a result. And it was just such a hard year. And I got to the end of the year, lost my sponsor. So unfortunately, David didn't support that next year of racing, although, he's still, a great mentor and helps me, and supports me in my career elsewhere. And I lost the opportunity to continue racing with Prema, obviously, in anything like F3. So that was like a big kind of like, that's it. The career is written off. And I didn't have many other options in the pipeline, but fortunately W Series was still something that, I could have and race in. And so I went back to racing W Series on the Formula One package and managed to win the championship last year, which was kind of the turnaround of fortune that I needed.
Yeah. Well, in that challenge, what was the biggest lesson there? Because you mentioned one thing, being physically fit to manage that type of vehicle. And that's one of the things over the years we've heard from naysayers of women racing is, they can't handle the cars that travel at that speed and so forth, because you're just physically, you're different. And so how do you deal with that? Was that the big lesson there, that I've got to become maybe even more fit, different kind of training regimen, nutrition, all those things that go into being a premier athlete?
Yeah, definitely part of me, turned around and thought, okay, I need to get a lot stronger and deal with this and be fitter and stronger. But also with that, understanding that men and women are different. And instead of developing the car to have a performance disadvantage to make it easier to drive, let's think of a way that we can do it without losing performance. Let's work out. Okay. And I didn't do that enough, or to the extent that I needed to do it too. I settled to have what felt like a performance disadvantage when I think in reality I could have worked a lot harder and understood the engineering side better to find results or things that we could do that could not sort of be at a detriment to performance.
So in all, that negative experience taught you incredibly valuable lessons moving forward, right? Massively.
And I think everything happens for a reason. I came back way stronger from it than both physically and mentally than ever before. And I feel much more prepared as a result.
Absolutely. And we spoke earlier a little bit about what I call a bucket list, your future, things you'd like to look at down the road. And I don't like to take people too much further than maybe 3 years, 4 years, because boy, when you have things like COVID thrown at you, that disrupted the whole world, still is in many respects. And there's financial things and all that. But again, is F1 the ultimate challenge for you? Is that really that pinnacle point in your life you'd like to be at someday?
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, there's still a lot I need to achieve in the sport, particularly in the feeder series of Formula One, and not under any illusions with that. But in 3 years, I'd like to think that I have an opportunity to be competing in Formula One if I'm competitive in the likes of Formula 2 and Formula 3 in the next few years.
That'll be tremendous. Now look at Formula One drivers. A lot of them compete in a lot of different series: endurance racing, off-road racing, rally racing. I mean, sometimes you don't see that, but when you start looking into these drivers' lives, and that's where I think some of this experience is going to carry you forward.
Definitely. And I think it's valuable, especially whilst I can. The guys in Formula One, they're racing 23 weekends a year. They don't have the time or probably contract obligation, or they can't contractually be doing all this different stuff. So when they retire, they end up doing a lot of different racing, but also, in their junior career, they have an opportunity to do other stuff. So that's why I think now I'm making the most of having as much opportunity to do as much as I can while I can. Although, like I said, if you get to Formula One, it's not a bad problem to not be able to race something else because you're racing in Formula One.
I think it probably requires all of your attention, not just the racing, but everything around it is so intense and encompassing. So well, you're a very smart lady, Jamie. I have no doubt you're going to be sitting in one of those seats someday for sure. Let's talk about a special vehicle in your life. Now, this could be a street car, or this could be a race car that you crawled into that you look back and go, wow, that was quite an experience. What was that vehicle? And maybe share a ride about that vehicle.
Ooh, trying to pick one in this is quite tricky. Do you know what? I'm going to go really off the beaten track here and say I actually drove the Porsche Taycan, because there's not many cars that I get that impressed with. And honestly, I was blown away by it.
You know, I'll tell you something funny. I had David Donahue. His father was the great Mark Donahue, the Porsche 917 racer, endurance racer. David, of course, incredible racer. And he's about to jump in a Brumo's car to go back and race up Pikes Peak coming up soon.
Cool.
But he said the same thing. And now here's a guy like you, a person who's driven so many cool cars. And he said, you know, Mark, including the 918. And he said, the Taycan, that car is insane. So I got to ask now, because I saw a bunch of those. I was just down in La Jolla at the La Jolla Concours, and I saw a lot driving around on the street. And I was with my sister and my mom, and they both said, what kind of Porsche is that? I've never heard of that kind of Porsche. Yeah, I'll think of the 911s like I've always had. What is it about that car that intrigued you so much and makes you, I see the smile on your face. Do you like that?
Okay, so there's one caveat to it, other than the range anxiety, any of that feeling, the actual enjoyment of driving, because I drive a lot of cars for a lot of different reasons, on track, on the road, whatever. But when I'm driving on the road, I just want something that I can efficiently get from A to B and be very comfortable with, and is smooth, does everything I want it to. Everything is designed exactly how it should be. There's nothing I think, I wish this button was here, or the steering wheel was a bit, different, whatever. The weight of the steering wheel felt a bit different. Honestly, the Taycan I couldn't criticize from a drivability point of view. It's so smooth, so nice, just to get from, like I said, A to B. However, you then say you're not on the road and you then want to put your foot down and experience the acceleration of the sporting side of it. The chassis for an electric car and the battery, the size of given the weight of the battery in it, is very impressive. That's my kind of feedback on it. I think I don't want a supercar that, you just grits your teeth every 5 seconds on the road, but it's amazing on track. I don't really want anything else. I just, quite happy with something pretty simple like a Taycan.
Oh, there you go. Hey, well, Porsche, you listeners out there, you got an ambassador here. You need to reach out. I think I'll put her in the seat of one of those cars to be driving around. That sounds like a good idea to me. There you go. Little cross-marketing there, huh?
Fingers crossed they get that message. I got lent one a few months ago and, loved it. So, that would be a pretty dream car for me at the moment.
Well, see, now after listening to you and David, I got to go drive one. I've not driven one, so...
Have you not driven one?
No.
Oh, okay. Right. Well, drive it. Let me know what you think.
Okay. I'll
it's quite cool, like spaceship kind of noise, which I really like.
Yeah, it's cool. EV cars and what's coming, it's pretty impressive. We didn't touch on this, but the e-racing series, what do you think about that?
Yes, well, I race in Extreme E, which is an electric racing series. And I think that's why, I'm a purist to a degree with the sport. I love what the sport, is and stands for historically, but also I'm not afraid of change. And I love the fact that, there's this new technology and everything coming in to sort of better the future, I guess. And that's why I get excited about things like the Taycan. And when it's done right, honestly, you don't know a difference. You just don't even think about it being electric. You just think it's a race car, which is the main thing.
All right, so I'm going to be your car psychologist here, Jamie. This is a unique question that I'll bet nobody's ever asked you. If you were reincarnated, manifest as a vehicle, this isn't what you want to be. This is how you perceive the woman in the mirror, who you are deep down inside. What kind of vehicle would you be, but more importantly, why?
Ooh. Ooh. This could go.
This gets deep.
Something pretty plain and simple, I think.
What?
Like a VW Beetle, I think.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, a Fiat 500. I'm quite small.
Oh, even okay. Yeah.
I'm a good city car, I think. I get around a little efficient into the small parking spaces.
See, this is why this is an interesting question, because most listeners would think, well, she's a racer. You'd be something fast and technical and very intricate. I mean, you went the complete opposite, the antithesis of a modern day race car.
Yeah. Actually, I'll tell you what car, I'm not just on the EV train for no reason, but I'm intrigued. And this will get so much criticism, but I really like Honda do this weird little, I forgot what it's called. They do this weird little electric car.
Okay.
And it's actually, no, I'm going to change that completely.
No. Oh, here we go.
I'm going to go completely on a different, I'm going to go for a Yaris GR.
Oh, okay.
So that is the rally version. Okay, now I can really go into it. So it's the rally road car version of the Toyota Yaris. Google it. It's an epic car. If you've not driven it, it's a lot of fun. It's a little pocket rocket, which I guess I could be described as. I'm, like I said, a small person. But it definitely goes. It's super fast, and I love off-road racing, so I love the fact that it's based on a rally car.
Well, we bounced all over the place.
Yeah, sorry. I feel like I needed to prep on that question, and then I got there eventually.
You got different. My daughter's very petite like you, and her first car we got her was a Mini Cooper, and so her license plate was fun-sized.
Nice. And a lovely British car.
Those are fun cars to drive, for sure. Definitely. So I mentioned in your intro that you did a very long cycling event to support cancer care, resolving cancer issues. Is that one of the ways you like to give back?
Yeah. I mean, I try to. I think obviously during COVID, we had a lot of time on our hands, and there's a lot of people in the world that weren't as fortunate as a lot of us. So yeah, I guess I try and do as much as I can when I can. Yeah, the charity I did it for actually is a charity that I've supported for many, many years, called Hope for Tomorrow, and they have mobile chemotherapy units to support those that can't necessarily travel for their treatment. So yeah, I was excited to be able to do that for well, I had the time, fortunately, to do it during COVID, but yeah, excited to be able to actually do a proper challenge and put it to a good cause.
Absolutely. Hope for Tomorrow, is that the name of that group?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Cool. I'll make sure I put a link to that on Jamie's show notes page for you listeners to check them out. Perhaps you can help them as well. Before I let you go, is there a great book you'd like to share with us? And I know you ladies do a lot of traveling with this racing. Do you get a chance to read or listen to audiobooks?
To be honest, I've started reading a lot more because I'm a really bad person for watching too many things on. I've got an iPad and I just end up watching so many things.
Easy to do these days.
So, yeah, I have started reading more. I'm going to go with three very different books. So one is Open by Andre Agassi. So he's a tennis player, and that's amazing for any sports person, just amazing book. Another one is What They Don't Teach You at Harvard Business School. And that's, if there's anyone with a bit more of an entrepreneurial mind out there, then that is a very good one that, is fascinating. Different things and things you can learn from that. And the final one is a bit of a shout out to my team boss, Caitlin Jenner. I read her book. She actually gave it to me when I met her for the first time. And it's her autobiography, I think. And
yes,
I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically her life. And absolutely fascinating and well worth a read if you don't know much about Caitlin.
Yeah, the title of that book is The Secrets of My Life.
That's it.
And quite an interesting life she has lived, no doubt. So I'll make sure I put all three of these books. The other two are great, by the way. Read those on Jamie's show notes page under guest recommended books. All right, we're going to go on the ultimate drive here. This is where it gets fun. I have a huge checkbook. I'm like your dream sponsor. I'm going to provide you with any vehicle in the world. You can be driving it anywhere in the world, and you can be with anyone in the world, including somebody who's passed, somebody from the past, who's deceased. What does the ultimate drive look like for somebody like you?
Okay, so 911 singer.
Ooh.
911 singer, so restored.
Rob Dickinson's car, yes.
Yeah, that's cool. And we are going to the south of France.
Nice.
There's some amazing roads down there.
Yeah.
And I'm going to probably get in trouble with close friends and family here, but I'm going to go with Ricky Gervais because he's one of the funniest people, I think. And I think he'll just make me laugh.
Wow.
It's a long road trip. I don't need any podcasts to listen to. Unfortunately, I won't need to listen to the Kasia podcast. I can just get the chat from Ricky.
Yeah, he is an interesting comedian, isn't he? He's
very British humor. So I think that's why I personally find him quite funny. I think his American audience might not think so, but I find him very funny.
He's one of those disruptor comedians that really steps out on some branches there. But you're right. I've interviewed so many people from the UK, and I've got a lot of friends there, so I've learned more of your humor, and I really enjoy it. It's different, and I really like it. But you picked my dream car. When I was interviewed by a racer on my own show, he asked me which car I would pick, and it's the 911 Singer. Yeah, I would love to have Rob build me a car. Fortunately, those things have gotten really expensive. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
big time.
Yeah, I'm gonna need my own sponsor to be able to get the car that I'm gonna buy for you. So there you go.
Yeah.
Well, you've taken me on an awesome ride, and I really appreciate you taking some time out of a very busy schedule. I know you just flew back into town. Before I let you go, could you share maybe some words of wisdom, inspiration, or a success quote that might inspire others listening to us today?
Oh, I don't know if I've got many words of wisdom, but a quote I always like, which is a bit cringe, but I always use it within, or my team and I always use it, and it's winners win.
Yes.
If you're a winner, you win, and I like that.
It kind of goes with the book Think and Grow Rich, the idea that if you think like a winner, you can be a winner, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I like it. I just think it resonates with me a bit. So yeah, winners win.
Definitely. I love it. So how can people learn more about you and the W Series?
Well, followed the W Series this year. I think in America it's on ESPN. Obviously in the UK it's now on Sky Sports. Give it a watch. It's going to be a really exciting year. And yeah, for me, just follow my social channels, I guess.
I'll make sure I put links to all those, Twitter, Instagram, her website. Follow this young lady. She's already gone places, and she's going places for sure. And I want to do a shout out. Thank you to Barbara Burns at Burns Group PR for introducing me to Jamie. Barbara, you brought me another winner. Winners win. So there you go. And Barbara's a winner too. She's great. Appreciate that. Jamie, thanks for being so generous with your time today and for sharing your world. Yeah, I wish you the best success. No doubt you're going places. Until you and I talk again, I'll see you down the road. And congratulations for your wins at the Miami Grand Prix this past weekend. Great racing.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's ride here at Cars Yeah. Drive on over to carsyeah.com to find show notes and inspiring automotive fun. Download your free copy of Filler Up, a fun book filled with gorgeous photographs of fuel filler fun, including quotes from more inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Download your copy today, and we'll see you next time on Cars Yeah.